How to recognize where a volcano will erupt. New method to forecast vents has been tested on one of the Earth's highest risk volcanoes. This is a scientific paper, July 31st, 2019, by GFZ Geoforschungszentrum Potsdam, Helmut Center. Scientists have devised a new method to forecast volcanic vent locations. Most of the times you see the eruption of a volcano on TV or on the internet, by live stream camera, for example. You can very easily see Mount Etna, Stromboli, the Mexican volcanoes, and more. The magma shoots right out of its top. However, it's not so uncommon that the magma erupts from the volcano's flanks rather than from its summit. We saw this recently with Stromboli, for example, and with Etna. Flanks had opened up, dikes had come up with the lava exploding from the sides. So it's not uncommon that the magma erupts from the volcano's flanks rather than its summit, the crater, that is. After leaving the underground magma chamber, the magma forces its way sideways by fracturing rock, sometimes for tens of kilometers. Then, when it breaches the Earth's surface, it forms one or more vents from which it will spill out, sometimes explosively. For this example occurred at Bardarbunga in Iceland in August 2014, and in Kilauea in Hawaii last year, August 2018. It is a big challenge for volcanologists to guess where magma is heading and where it will breach the surface. A lot of its effort is spent on the task, as it could help minimize the risk of villages and cities endangered by eruptions. Now, Eleonora Rivalta and her team from the GFZ German Research Center for Geosciences in Potsdam, together with colleagues from the University Roma Tre and Vesuvius Observatory, Vesuvius being the volcano, of course, of the Italian Istituto Nazionale di Geofisica e Vulcanologia in Naples, have devised a new method to generate vent location forecasts. The study is published in the journal Science Advances. Quote, previous methods were based on the statistics of the locations of past eruptions, end quote, says Eleonora Rivalta, and she adds, our method combines physics and statistics. We calculate the paths of least resistance for ascending magma and tune the model based on statistics. The researchers successfully tested the new approach with data from the Campi Flegrei caldera in Italy, one of the Earth's highest risk volcanoes. Quote, calderas often look like a lawn covered in molehills, end quote. We're talking about supervolcanoes as well, just like the Campi Flegrei is in Italy. Vents opened at the flank of a volcano are often used by just one eruption. All volcanoes may produce some one-time vents, but some do more than others. Their flanks are punctured by tens of vents, whose alignment marks the locations where subsurface magma pathways have intersected the Earth's surface. At calderas, that is, large cauldron-like hollows that form shortly after the emptying of the magma chamber in a volcanic eruption, vents may also open inside and on its rim. That is because they lack the summit to focus eruptions. Quote, calderas often look like a lawn covered in molehills, unquote, says GFZ's Eleonora Rivalta. Most vents at calderas have only been used once. The resulting scattered, sometimes seemingly random spatial vent distribution threatens wide areas, presenting a challenge to volcanologists who draw the forecast maps for the location of future eruptions. Such maps are also necessary for accurate forecasts of lava and pyroclastic flows or the expansion of ash plumes. When forecast maps have so far been mainly based on the spatial distribution of past vents, quote, volcanologists often assume that the volcano will behave like it did in the past, end quote, says Eleonora Rivalta. And she adds, one problem is that often only a few tens of vents are visible on the volcano surface, as major eruptive episodes tend to cover or obliterate past eruptive patterns. Hence, as mathematically sophisticated as the procedure can be, sparse data lead to coarse maps with large uncertainties. Moreover, the dynamics of a volcano may change with time so that vent locations will shift. Successful tests have been done on Italy's Campi Flegrei volcano. That is why Rivalta, a trained physicist, together with her team of geologists and statisticians, used volcano physics to improve the forecasts. She says, we employed the most up-to-date physical understanding of how magma fractures rock to move underground and combined it with statistical procedure and knowledge of the volcano surface structure and history. We tuned the parameters of the physical model until they match previous eruptive patterns. Then we have a working model and can use it to forecast future eruption locations. This is what Eleonora Rivalta explains. The new approach was applied in southern Italy to the Campi Flegrei volcano, a caldera close to Naples, which has a population of nearly 1 million people. In the more than 10 kilometers wide caldera, about 80 vents have fed explosive eruptions the last 15,000 years. The approach performs well in retrospective tests, that is correctly forecasting the location of vents that were not used to tune the model. The researchers report, quote, the most difficult part was to formulate the method in a way that works for all volcanoes and not just one, to generalize it, end quote. Rivalta explains, quote, we will now perform more tests. If our methods work well on other volcanoes too, it may help planning land usage in volcanic areas and forecasting the location of future eruptions with a higher certainty than previously possible, end quote. This was by GFZ Geoforschungszentrum Potsdam, Helmut Center, and it's on Science Daily. And it's been written by scientists. This is their findings. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.